ESD, as you know, it stands for Energy for Sustainable Development in Caribbean Building. And a lot of you here are stakeholders in that, in the software that you'll be able to replicate it back into your own different environments. But as we open up, I'm just going to have a short word of prayer and then we'll get started. Great. Dear Father God, we just want to continue to give you thanks and praise for thy Spirit. And as we hear this morning, we continue to learn this software, continue to be with us. If anyone is on their way, continue to protect them. And as we are here, you continue to guide us, open our minds to be receptive. In Jesus' name. All right, my name is Bevan Burke. I am the National Coordinator for the ESD project here in Antigua and Barbuda. ESD is a regional project consisting of 5 countries: Antigua and Barbuda, St. Lucia, Grenada, St. Lucia and the Grenadines, and Belize. But we will get more to that further on in our day. With me, I have the Regional Technical Officer, Ms. Zinzi John. She's joining us from Trinidad. I have Thomas, the technical assistant. He's also joining us. And for ESD, we have our national chairperson of the National Steering Committee, which is Ms. Diane Rodriguez. They're from Antigua Barbuda Bureau of Standards. And our vice chair is also here, Ms. Ruth Spencer from the Small Grants Program. We all want to continue to thank you for joining us this morning. When I ask that as we go forward, you continue to just be open to learning the software. I have done the training, it's very insightful. We use our electricity in Antigua and Barbuda. Sometimes we buy a light bulb, but we don't really understand fully how changing from a CFL, changing to CFL come from what you call it, incandescent, or even to an LED bulb and play saving our electricity. So overall, for ESD, the project is basically to show and promote public awareness, not only in ourselves as stakeholders, but also in the public. So we have different replicating demonstration sites that we are able to show. But without further ado, I ask the chairperson to come and give an opening remarks.
Thank you very much, Mr. Burke, chairperson of this morning's opening activities. Mr. Hamlin, consultant with 5Cs, Ms. John, regional technical officer, Ms. Spencer, our vice chair for this coordinating committee. Dr. Leslie will be with us later on in the week from 5Cs. 5Cs being the Climate Change Center, and you'll see the name up there because there are 5 C's in the word, so 5 C's is easy to say. The project, Energy for Sustainable Development in Caribbean Buildings, ESD for short. Later on in the week, we'll also have with us Mr. Joseph Williams from the Caribbean Development Bank. So it is a pleasure for me this morning to welcome them, as well as to welcome all of you participants to this workshop on simulation tools for energy efficiency in Caribbean buildings. This is an activity being implemented under JEP, which is the United Nations Environment Program, Energy for Sustainable Development in Caribbean Buildings. This was launched in April 2013 together and is being implemented by CARICOM, hence the reason we have a representative from CARICOM with us later this week, and 5Cs, and again we will have the CEO of 5Cs later on today or in the week. As was said before, the project involves 5 pilot countries: Antigua and Barbuda, Grenada, Belize, St. Lucia, and St. Vincent and the Grenadines. The project's objective is to transfer and implement sustainable energy policies, instruments, and knowledge in these Caribbean countries through promotion of energy efficiency applications and renewable energy within the residential and public building sector. And the project aims to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and to make the energy sector in the participating pilot countries more efficient, and also to increase their use of renewable energies. Buildings have been identified as one of the major sources of energy usage, and the project focuses therefore on the building sector with the aim of bringing about a 20% reduction in greenhouse emissions from the building sector. And in the 5 participating countries, through several integrated approaches, including technical demonstrations of energy efficiency equipment, appliances, development and use of innovative financing mechanisms, hence we have the Caribbean Development Bank involved, and the development of other sustainable policies, we hope that this objective can be achieved. Another key component in this is public awareness. So in this project, Antigua and Barbuda has overall responsibility for developing the public awareness component of the program. Now, under the Bureau of Standards, we had a previous project where we looked at public awareness. So there is a lot of material around. It's a matter now of not reinventing the wheel, but seeing how we tailor a lot of that information to meet the needs of this project. In addition, we also have taken some lead in this, and we do have 2 laboratories set up, one for the testing of the efficiency of refrigerators and one for the checking of compound fluorescent light bulbs. Now this morning I came in here and there was a vehicle parked outside, and the vehicle was running and nobody was sitting in the vehicle. So I came in and I said to the gentleman, to who was there? Who is driving this vehicle? The gentleman probably said, I am. And I said, well, why do you have the vehicle running? Because gas is burning, you have the AC on and there's nobody in the vehicle. So I think it's little things like that that we have to bring to the attention of the general public and all of us as to how we could reduce our energy consumption and thereby increase our efficiency. It makes no use changing out systems into energy efficient systems if we don't first make what we are using efficient. We have also at the Bureau changed out all our light bulbs, so we're running strictly on LEDs. So we'll see how that affects our energy consumption. Now, this project is a result of the collaborative efforts of a number of key stakeholders, and it is geared towards the development of local capacity in the use of energy efficient software, modeling, and integration of energy efficiency rating systems. So the aim this week is to provide you, the participants, with the basic knowledge, capability, and tools to effectively understand and use energy efficiency software and to demonstrate the use of key energy monitoring equipment. I encourage you, therefore, in a similar way to Mr. Burke, that you make the best of this learning opportunity, participate fully, and then take what you have learned to the wider community so that together we can implement energy efficiency measures which will help to reduce our energy bills and at the same time reduce our greenhouse gas emissions. I once again welcome you all, and I wish you all a very successful workshop. I also want to thank Mr. Burke for his work in organizing this. I know he's been on the ball. I want to also thank the management of GATE for allowing us to use their facility, and also those persons from the media who are here. So once again, thank you everyone, and let us have a very successful workshop over the next few days.
Greetings from the Caribbean Community Climate Change Center. As the Executive Director, it gives me great pleasure to welcome you to this workshop. As you might have been briefed before, this training program is extremely important to our region. To understand why, I will give you a brief background on the energy situation in our region. Energy intensity is a measure of how much energy we need to produce $1 in terms of our gross domestic product. To get a comparison of where we are in our region, in other words, Central America, Mexico, and the Caribbean, Jamaica and Trinidad, their energy intensity are 700 and 400 units, respectively. Our Central American countries, it is around 250. The lower that number, the more competitive you are. So as you can see, we are not very competitive even in our region. This makes it very difficult for us to sell our products on the global market or to attract visitors to our region. It is for this reason that it is incumbent on us to make sure we can reduce the cost of energy. This can be done in two ways: by moving away from fossil fuel, which we have to import, to using our indigenous, reliable, renewable energy sources, such as geothermal, photovoltaic, wind, and so on. Another way of doing this is to make our systems more efficient, such as the way we use energy. In terms of the two I mentioned, it is more difficult to change or to transform from fossil fuel to renewables because of the high capital cost. However, we can start by making our buildings and so on more efficient by using, for instance, LEDs, fluorescent lighting, instead of incandescent lighting, making sure that we use natural ventilation instead of air conditioning. So the purpose of this workshop is to train technicians and engineers how to go and make an audit of the systems we are using and how we can improve that. You are therefore playing a vital role, because we expect at the end of this training, you will go back to your communities and start to implement what you have learned. How did we get this project off the ground? This project came about because of the initiative of a person who is not present with you at this moment, Dr. Albert Binger, the Renewable Energy Advisor at the Center. And that brings me to the point of the Center. What is the role of the Center? The Center was established by the CARICOM heads of government to address the issues of climate change and its related impacts on our region. And one of the ways of doing this is, first of all, to start with energy, because energy is the cause of the problem of climate change, and therefore we must address it if we are to move to a more sustainable economic development. Having said that, this brings me to the more positive role of the Center. The project under which this training program is taking place was developed under the United Nations Global Efficiency Facility. However, as you might have known, the GEF will only give a part of the funding required. The region and the countries are expected to provide the rest. During the early stages of development, as you know, most of our countries are faced with very serious financial and economic problems, and therefore they were not in a position to provide the necessary funding. The GEF, on the other hand, insisted that without counterpart contributions, the project could not be approved. And this is where the Center came in. The Center was able to provide the financial backing required for the approval of the project. So you can see the Center, or the Caribbean Community Climate Change Center, or 5Cs, as we are commonly called, is playing a vital role in terms of the getting this project off the ground and its implementation. Who are our collaborating partners? As I mentioned earlier, UNEP, who is the implementing agency of the GEF program, in this case. We also have UNDESA, who is providing backstopping roles in terms of the execution of the project. We also have the national steering committees. The national steering committees are playing a critical role because they are the people on the ground in each of the countries. So the center, as the executing entity, is making sure that the program is properly executed. And we can only do that through collaboration and with the support of our partners, and especially the national steering committees. Having said that, that brings me to what is your role? Your role is to ensure that you make maximum benefit of this training program, because we expect that when you go back to your individual countries, you can start initiate the programs that will make us and our region one of the most efficient countries in the world, or regions in the world, in terms of the use of energy. Once we can do that, we can start bring down the relative numbers of energy intensity that will make us more competitive. And this goes across board. Most of our countries depends on tourism. Hotels are one of the areas that are very high in the use of energy because of air conditioning. And therefore, if we can demonstrate to them how they can make their systems more efficient, we can lower the cost of the hotels and therefore allow more people to come to our region that would make jobs available. And therefore, you have a very important role to play. Make sure you ask questions. Make sure you understand what is being given to you. And with that, I believe at the end of the day, this training program would be a success. With those welcoming words, I hope that you will have a very successful training program during the period that you're here. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Dr. Leslie. And to give you a more of an overview of the regional project in its regional entirety, we have Zinzi John come and present that.
Thank you, Bavon. Okay, so it's truly a pleasure for me to be here in Antigua today to implement and execute this training workshop. All protocols observed. Welcome and good morning to everyone. Once again, welcome to the launch of Component 2 of the GEF UNEP Energy for Sustainable Development in Caribbean Buildings project. So I am Zinzi John, and as Bevan said, I'm a trainee, but I'm part of the project management unit at the 5 Cs. My role there is a regional technical officer for this ESD project. So the project aims to both reduce greenhouse gas emissions and make the energy sector in the participating countries more efficient and increase their use of renewable energy. We hope to reduce the growth of energy demand through the increasing use of energy efficiency in buildings and increased energy conservation measures, and also by promoting the use of renewable energy technologies. At the end of this project, we are aiming to achieve 20% emission intensity reduction from the demonstration buildings with an intent to increase that reduction to 50% after the life of the project. So as mentioned, the project incorporates 5 participating countries: Grenada, St. Lucia, Antigua and Barbuda, Belize, and St. Vincent and the Grenadines. St. Vincent and the Grenadines recently came on board this project due to the withdrawal of Trinidad and Tobago. And we are very fortunate that they agreed to allocate their funds to St. Vincent so that they can implement their project. So these are the various project partners. We have the different ministries of the participating countries. United Nations Department of Economic and Social Affairs, Division of Sustainable Development, Water, Energy and Strategies Branch. So the overarching goal of this project is to develop and implement measures for promoting sustainable energy development within the building sector and to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. As mentioned before, a reduction of 20% is the target. Following this project is duration for 4 years, expected to end in 2017, and we hope that there will be numerous indirect impacts towards increasing energy efficiency in the entire building sector of the participating countries, and as a result of the development and successful implementation of standards, codes, policies, legislature, and capacity. In an aim to maximize capacity building, each participating country will take the lead in one area. So we have St. Lucia, they are taking the lead in energy efficient lighting. St. Vincent and the Grenadines, energy efficient standards and building codes. Belize looks at development of ESCO guidelines, ESCO meaning Energy Service Company. Grenada looks at indoor air quality. And Antigua and Barbuda, Antigua and Barbuda is taking a role in public awareness. Sorry about that slide. So it is expected that Component 2 will raise awareness in achievables and thereby reducing greenhouse gas emissions. The skills and knowledge will better inform stakeholders in formulating and maintaining new energy efficiency goals. This is the cost of the project. So the total project cost is $12,484,500 US. This is the total cost for all participating countries, and each country has an individual budget, which is also met by co-financing. But everyone will go into this later on. So as mentioned, the project focus, each country has a lead, but they are not ignoring the other areas of the project, as you can see from this table. So Antigua and Barbuda, we have the lead in persuasion material and standards and label regulations. But you can also see they're also participating in building evaluation, building codes, demonstrations, ESCOs, and lighting. So as I said, we are in Component 2 right now, part of a 7-component project, and we're looking at strengthening of national capacity for energy efficiency and renewable energy. So who is to benefit from this training? We're looking at technicians, tradesmen, professionals working in the building and construction sector, the engineering society, architect society. We are hoping to achieve awareness of the best practices necessary to achieve the energy consumption patterns and awareness of renovation and retrofitting best practices necessary for cultural and behavioral and technology and equipment change. So these are the various component outcomes and outputs. So from Component 2, we're looking at technical training programs on energy efficiency and renewable energy, building material and component efficiency, guidelines and mechanisms for adoption into practice. So these are upcoming training programs that will be coming out of this component. We're now launching the component, and we're starting with the simulation tools. Right. So this is my presentation. It's very short, but all of these presentations will be uploaded to the web portal that you all have the link and the password for. So each day, all the presentations from each day will be uploaded, and you will have access to this website after the duration of this training workshop. So at this point in time, I would like each one of you all to introduce yourselves and to state your expectations for this workshop.
I work at the Marvin Bureau and Standard System, and the expectation for the rest of the to be able to use the software and to know just in general everyday life how to cut down costs in lighting, in terms of the lighting one.
Yeah, thank you.
Good morning, I'm Alan Michael from the Bureau of Standards. I'm a standardization officer. My expectation is to, as you said, to learn to use the software and be able to assist the stakeholders in the community and public sector with the energy efficiency in buildings. Thank you.
William from the Development Control Authority, and the expectation is to learn software and also to learn more about energy efficiency and renewable energy.
Okay, great.
I'm Troy Cunningham from the Development Control Authority. And well, I'd like to learn the software and to implement it in a regular way.
Good morning, I'm Alex Figure, an architect representing the Institute of Architects, and my expectation is to utilize software in total creative approach to carbon footprint reduction in building design and construction.
Stephen Butters, an archivist of the Antigua Barbuda National Archives. As you know, I deal with documents, and light has a factor, plays an important role or a factor in terms of the deterioration of documents. So this will help me in terms of how much light should be on documents and in terms of the preservation and conservation of the city.
The National Coordinator for the Jet Organs Project. We currently have 12 groups and islands integrating solar into their applications in climate smart agriculture, and some of these facilities include churches. We are upscaling now to funding from the OAS into 10 additional community groups, and we are going to get here and another installator is assisting us. So the software is very important in our outreach with these community groups and churches that we can help with the public education and awareness.
Good morning all, my name is Walter Biscount. I am a technical officer at the Environment Division. I'm a civil engineer by profession as well. But my expectation of this workshop is to learn the software and see how it applies in terms of our everyday savings and long-term goals as it has to do with renewable energy in Barbados and the wild Caribbean.
Good morning, my name is Abigail Burke, and I'm visitor for public interest and also to learn the software and to be quite aware about what's going on around me.
Good morning, Tesla Francis, and the Public Institute of Housing, my expectation is to learn this software and basically implement it to buildings that we will be on a shop in all level of sector and get some savings.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Kyle Straker, Senior Building Inspector of the Development Control Authority. Well, basically, I'm here to learn and to see how this can help me in my job function as a building inspector in terms of addressing the inefficiency of energy in buildings.
Morning, Gervin Piggott from APUA. I'm an electrical engineer at APUA. My expectation is to learn more about the software and see how maybe myself and my colleagues here from APUA can maybe implement a demand-side management program to all government buildings. That's a program I have in my mind. So.
Good morning again, everyone. Those who didn't know me before, my name is Mrs. Rodriguez. I'm the director of the Antigua and Barbuda Bureau of Standards. And I hope from this workshop that we will all learn some more auditing techniques so that we can pass on to the general public and to our peers some of the things that can be done to reduce our current energy usage in the situation that we are before we look to make them more efficient. To learn the software, to learn some of the techniques for disseminating this information to the public around us, and also crucially to learn or to find out what are some of the standards that we as a Bureau of Standards will need to work on to support this entire process.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Amal Christian from APUA, a technician within APUA, and my aim here this week is to learn how to utilize software in assisting with energy reduction to help APUA and also make the public be more aware and how they can be more efficient in their homes.
Good morning. I'm Gordon from APA Planning Technician. As was everyone said, I'm implementing the software utilizing better on behalf of APA to help our customers.
So we have component one. Component one is our assessment and monitoring. And this is where we do get our baseline data. We have demonstration sites, and through the project I expect this might even branch off not only to our demo sites, but the different government agencies as they seek interest. And what we're going to do, we're going to monitor the energy usage, the air quality, how everything is done in the building. And through that now, without data, we'll be able to, in the retrofitting of either solar panels or putting in energy efficient technology, bulbs, air conditioning, and even education. Because the biggest part of the building is not necessarily the fixtures. The fixtures don't control themselves. We control them. And what it means now, we have to train ourselves, especially in the different buildings too. If the room is not in use, turn off the lights. Have the aircon running at a reasonable rate. And different things. So that is a public, it's not only just the physical retrofitting, but also the lifestyle changes inside the building. And through getting this data, through the data itself, we'll be able to get really state our greenhouse gas emissions. So we know what fuel we use, and if we can confirm it's probably sea fuel that we're using. And with that now, we can find out the carbon emissions that is per kilowatt hour. And if we can show a reduction and do a comparison, with that, we can say we have reduced our CO2 emissions by this much. And that is the goal we're looking to achieve. And from that, we have Grenada now, who is doing reports that will show us to help better able to guide us in doing our reports for our monitoring procedures. So this is what it looks like actually from the Environment Division. We have a small monitoring equipment, and let me get that, I forgot to get that. But this is showing you what it looks like for 2 days last week in the Environment Division. So this is just a simple, just a startup for our monitoring exercises. And what we did, through the system with Gervan, we clamped these onto the wires coming into our electrical box. And what it does, it monitors and sends back to my laptop the data that's being recorded. So basically this is Thursday and this is Friday. And it gives you a peak here, the orange is a peak, showing the maximum power usage at that time. Right? You can see basically at night it goes all the way down. We have servers running, so we need air conditioning all the time, so we can also have continuous power. Right? But then once you see it hits here, that's 8, it's between, this is 7 and it hit 8, power shoots up. We get into the office, we turn on all the air conditioning, we turn on the lights, and this is the environment division, it uses a lot of electricity. So this is getting data. Can't enforce any lifestyle changes yet because we need to get data on what we actually use without any intervention. So we come in and it goes up. What this also do, it produces using our own rate, which I think now, when you put the electricity rates together, you get 109, I think, $1.09 per kilowatt hour. So you can put that into the system and it will give you, now we can have like a bill. And it will show you based on what you're using. It's supposed to be dollars. I haven't trained this one yet. I use another computer for this one. It will give you your user, your period, what day, and what it does, it will give you estimated costs. Using the kilowatt per hour, it will give you estimated cost per year, per month, and how much it will cost you for your electricity, and how much you will use overall, and your maximum power and all that. So this is just a daily report and daily monitoring system that they're using. Another component is air quality. So we have gotten these CO2 monitors. As small as you think these cause a lot of havoc. Not because they go off, but then people finally realize what is the actual CO2 in the room. So they're in the office and all of a sudden it beeps off, and look, it's like 1,000 ppm, right? 1,000 parts per million. What it says though, just at 1,000, 20% of the users start to feel uncomfortable. So we might in this room, maybe we have 10 of us here, 2 of us, okay, start to feel a little headache, start to feel I feel a bit uncomfortable. And that's what that's 20%. And what I've noticed in a lot of offices is poor ventilation. Right? There's air coming in, but there's no air going out. Right? And what that does now, you're in your room, and sometimes you got to work here just to feel too right. Right? And that's not because, okay, maybe it didn't do something, but it's probably a part of the air quality as well. Right? The lack of proper ventilation. Because even though you have the air conditioning coming in, you need to have the air going out. My boss went to a cabinet meeting, and she plugged into the office, the conference room, went straight up to 800. But she said before she did all that, she went into the opening of the premises office, that entrance, and she didn't plug it in yet. And one lady said, oh, I just get headache and so on. The officers and I said, yeah, sometimes I feel too well. And the moment she plugged it in there, straight up, over 1,000, right? But she didn't understand why is it at the doorway it had 1,000 and up in the office itself had 800. So I explained to her the doorway is the exit for the air, right? Because air don't come in, if you ever enter a building, the air don't come in from the door. The air leaves to the door when you open it. So what happens, all that air that's inside the building is escaping through the door because there's no other way of exit for that. So that right there, all the carbon dioxide culminates there until the door, someone opens the door and that goes out. So simple, that's why we have DCA. So simple designs into how you put in a big building, you need to have an extractor, right? To extract the air out. You can't just put in the air conditioning and then just feel, okay, everything is good. While we're studying, in Malaysia, they have this green building index. And in that, what they do, they rate buildings and how green they are. They started off and so on. So the first building that ever did it, you'd have automated lights. So what would happen now? Once you go into the office and you see a motion, the lights come on. But then sometimes you're at the desk and you're typing, so you're not really moving that much, so the lights will come off. Right? That is uncomfortable. So the purpose of having an efficient building does not necessarily mean the light come on and come off. It's supposed to be comfortable. So even though you're in the building, you're supposed to have lights, you're supposed to have air conditioning, but you're not compromising but that's in that design, from the design stages, you're not compromising your own lifestyle. So once you have design change, if you start from design up, there's no problem. But what we're doing here is the implementation in what is already there. Right? So this is just for monitoring. Right? And where we are now, strengthening the national capacity. So basically we have training courses and manuals and materials. Right? So out of this, we're training you now as part of it, and we have the 20 persons here to be training the Equus software. Another part of it is training, we're doing a further training for four local energy managers. So that's a part of it. But in this component is where our main, budget is being placed in. One of our main budgets is being placed into, and it's the public awareness. As Mr. Rodriguez has said already, there's a lot of material that's out already. There's no need to rewrite the wheel. ECEL, Eastern Caribbean Energy Labelling Project, has done a lot of work already. They're there. They're out. If you go in the post office, I know it's there. A lot of people don't go in the post office, right? But in many government offices, we have those handouts to show you energy efficiency techniques and different savings and so on with different materials, right? But as I spoke to Ms. Rodriguez before, it's good, but sometimes you look at it and it all looks the same, but then each one might mean something different. So even in talking to her, I said, look, you know what all it just needs is a different color. So one color can mean lighting, one color can mean appliances, and one color can mean air conditioning and so on, and that will make it more attractive. And so what the ESD is here for is not to just go and just to rewrite the wheel and start from scratch. That's going to take too long, and we don't have the budget for that. But what we're going to do now is use what is there and help to build it up. Then also, we have, as we see, as Dr. Al says, there's a lot of, Dr. Leslie, there's a lot of projects out there, but the funding agents need to know that they can trust you and you can work along with them, especially with co-finance. Co-finance is, like now, you're all co-financing me because you're here on your own time, you're here in the job's time and they're paying you. So you being here is a form of co-finance, right? And co-finance means that we're working along with different agencies. So say I'm at Environment Division and we're doing the ESD. A form of co-financing is Public Works giving us the workers to help us, right? But in this now we have to develop course for green procurement for building managers so that they can know now, especially the PSAs and the managers now can go out and be able to find ways and find the opportunities to get funding and so on for green procurement. We have our component 3, which are financially based mechanism. And this is just a small segment. And this is because this is not a main part of our focus. But this is just to develop the incentives and disincentives for the private sector. What is it going to mean for you now to put solar panels on your house? What does it mean for you now to put on these LED lights which cost so much money, and these CFL lights that sometimes they just blow when you put the mean, sometimes you put a mean and they blow, but we get to that later, right? What does it mean for you? And this incentives as well too is, it don't make sense for me now to make CFLs, to say, go and buy a CFL, and they cost more than compact fluorescent, the incandescent bulb. Because what is going to happen, you're going to end up still buy the cheaper one. So this incentive will be now, we make incandescents the same price, or even more than a CFL, so we can continue to just phase them out. Or else there will be they won't make any sense for you to compete them, because people are still buy which is cheaper, right? Even though in the long run it costs you more money, it burns more electricity. When you look at it up front, it's cheaper, and that's what you want. That's what you see. But then you have to develop those packages. And this is where overall a lot of our project funds go into the demonstration program, right? The demonstration now is for you to see, because it's all good and well that we're talking here, but if you can't see what we're doing, then you won't be able to understand the full gravity of the situation. So at first now we have our Environment Division. What we're going to do with the division now is we're going to make it both RE, so we have our renewable energy technology, and both EE, which is energy efficiency technology. So we'll be developing or getting contractors to come and submit to us proposals to construct our solar panels. Right? We have an idea what we want to do, and we're looking into it. And what we're looking to do is for that we can run at least maybe 8 hours on battery power. Right? So during the day, if it feels that they want to cut us off, or if it cuts off in the day, we'll have a little power to run our lights and our computers and laptops for a while. Right?
That's illegal, just letting you know.
But we stay connected to it. and that's the thing. We stay connected to it. We're not saying that we're not using it. You see, y'all cut us off. Not as in cut us off, but the power is off. Right, the power comes off. The power comes off for that maybe. Electricity comes off, you can still run our own power for maybe at least 8 hours. And that's the goal. And with that though, we still have to have our energy efficient technology. We can't just be saying we're doing this and then we just blazing the air conditioner. And the EE here is not only just the technology, but it's the lifestyle changes. right? So in that now, we have to promote our own staff to learn to use things more efficiently. The thing that, what I've been noticing in the office, this is back and forth, right? We mean it's a co-worker, the air conditioning. Air conditioning is a problem, because what happens now, you go into a room, I feel too cold, turn it off. I feel too hot, turn it on. I feel too cold again, turn it off. Right? But when you do that now, for the aircon to start up, and even though we're using this inverter type AC units, to start them up now, it's going to take a lot of power. And doing that is being inefficient in itself. So it's either we leave them off or we leave them on. Well, when you go into work, it goes on at work and stays a stable temperature, a comfortable temperature, or we just open the doors. So we have been having a back and forth. We have Untitled Grammar School. We want to promote this. The grammar school, we have solar panels on the roof, right? To start promoting in the schools, because as I think even on the news, we've been having a lot of wind turbine and so on as a RE source, right? And we forgot that we have solar power. So they start to implement the use of solar power as a source of renewable energy technology in schools. So we're going to put solar panels on the grammar school. It's going to be grid tied. So, and it has an added benefit, because when school is out during the summer break, where all that power is going to go, it's the grid, right? Another power source, as what the division is aiming for, to eventually take off one of APUA's generators, right? Eventually, right? Yes.
I think what you should really say is reduce government's expenses.
Yeah. No, it's government, so yeah.
It's government, right?
We are government.
We are government, and we understand the situation with government and APUA.
And don't pay.
Yes. Right. But in that, there's still a little bit of complications with that. Even though we take off government, we still have to be able to get a generator off. It doesn't make sense that all the government is on and APUA generator is still pushing full, right? So you're still using the same money anyhow, right? So we have to find a way to work on that. We'll see. Right. Another area is the Prime Minister's office. It's an area it's for public awareness campaign, more open. Everyone, well, not more open, but everyone they have their own. They manage the government's website, the Facebook page, and through them we can look to see for them to push this technology forward. So what we're going to do, we're going to make them energy efficient. We're going to go in, we're going to assess, like what we're doing now, assess the situation, see what bulbs and what lights we can change, or what techniques we can use to reduce electricity, so we can reduce the burden on APUA, as they say. There's other projects involved, and as that get along, we'll see how that goes. Then the main thing as well too is the Bowlands Clinic. I think during a storm, one of the storms back ago, not Gonzalo, I think before, there was a bad storm in that area, and the clinic was completely cut off. And they lost all the vaccines, and they lost all the medication because they didn't have electricity. So what we're planning to do now is to make the Bowlands Clinic able to run on power 24/7. I don't think people have a problem with that, but it's to make them be able to run, once current is off, able to go 24/7 on battery power to preserve their vital equipment and so on they have and medicines in there. And this is how it looks. This is also a part we're doing, the replication to public sector and private sector agencies. So looking to partner with people who already have their stuff installed to see how we can better get out some co-finance as well, because all these are not something cheap. Right, these are not cheap investments they do, and if they're willing to say they're with us on the project, we have a co-financing. Right, these are local things here, and so on. Our regulatory framework promotion. So, in the regulatory framework is basically being able to put in actual labeling standards and so on for Antigua and Barbuda. Right, be able to. So we have, as Mr. Rodriguez has been saying, we have the ESET project, and the Bureau standards do testing. People bring their different wholesalers, bring their refrigerators and so on for them to test, and they test them and give them back. But with that, we're looking to, when they give them back, they have a local label that says, okay, it's been through the Bureau standards and it is energy efficient, and based on the testing, this is your savings in EC dollars. Because currently you go to the supermarket and you see, when a supermarket, you go to the stores, maybe Courts, Townhouse, and you see those Energy Star labels, the yellow labeling. And you're going to say, you will save $100 something per year. But you don't understand what this is, right? It's US. So you might convert it to US and EC and so on. But if you take in consideration, they were tested in the United States, different climate, different temperatures, everything and so on, and different rates of fuel. So with that now, just make something more localized that the general public can appreciate it. And with that, the more promotional materials, I say the ESAP materials, and so on that we can promote with them.